Now it's back with McLean just inside the Danish half. Back in towards the edge of the penalty area. Gets a Danish head that gets to it. Not entirely clear. Kieran Tierney! Goal! Goal! Kieran Tierney has taken Scotland to the verge of World Cup return 27 years on, and that could be the goal that takes us back to the big time. It's Scotland 3, Denmark 2. As Gilman has it, he's surrounded. He pokes the ball back. Surely now Scotland will hold on to possession. It's McLean. He's looking to go for goal from the halfway line. It's chipped. Glorious! Glorious! Kenny McLean from the halfway line. Scotland 4, Denmark 2. We are returning to the World Cup. What a night!
Yeah, I think it was kind of a night. It was crazy. It was kind of an afternoon for us to start, and then it was a night. We'll have it all here today. We'll talk about it. We'll let you know who's in, what we're waiting on, how close we are, all the things. CONCA-chaos happened last night. I don't know where you were, but safe to say I think a lot of us were either locked in. It was a multi-screen experience. By the way, good morning, Wall Pass Wednesday. John, hear you there. Thanks for dropping by SDH AM. Rundown this morning is this. Tyler should be joining us in a little bit. We'll talk about everything CONCACAF. We'll talk about World Cup qualifiers. We'll talk about all the crazy. We'll get into that. Busiest man in the Northeast. If we can track him down, Dylan Butler, we'll catch up with him and start our coverage of Major League Soccer, kind of getting you into the weekend, what we had 2 weeks ago, and getting you ready for what's going to be happening this weekend. Jason Stevens is going to join us. We caught up with him, and we'll find out about the economics of soccer, specifically this time when the multi-club ownership models don't work out. We'll catch up on Bill Foley and what happened with him if you missed it. And we'll also catch up on Fenway Sports Group. And if you missed it, and find out really kind of what they might be doing. Just kind of dipping their toe in a lot of different things. But we'll find that out in hour number 2 with Jason. But yeah, we're going to be drifting in and out of things this morning. I know you're shocked. So Europe was finished up yesterday. CONCACAF finished up last night. We know the playoff scenarios. I think tomorrow morning early is when they're going to break down who's going to be doing what in the Interconfederation Playoff Chaos Extravaganza. And when that news gets announced, you're going to, in December, you're going to see some spots just identified as like wild card or play-in or 1 and 2, and it's going to be nebulous, and you're not going to know who it is. That's what that's about. So we'll talk about what happened last night. Will's already fired up as he should be because there's a boatload of talking points. We've also got to get into what happened with the U.S. men's national team yesterday. They went down to the pirate ship in Tampa and took out the whooping stick. And there's a quote that we're going to bring up from Marcelo Bielsa that kind of came back and oopsied him. So we're going to talk about that. So we've got men's national team, CONCACAF, qualifying, all the things this morning. Anything else on your mind that I might have missed? We're also going to hear from Mauricio Pochettino, who I think has had it. He's had it from some folks asking questions about certain topics. And he led off. Literally, it was the first. Let me check my time codes here. It literally was the first 6 minutes and 41 seconds of his press conference last night, where Mauricio Pochettino, he's done. He's done. He's had it, and he ain't having no more. So, at least in the short term, anyway. So 6 minutes and 41 seconds of Mauricio Pochettino, and we're not going to play the whole thing, but there are 2 sections that were totaled about 4.5 minutes, and it's worth your time. That's why we have the morning show be what the morning show is. So that way we can kind of let things breathe and you can understand things, and we'll do it in more than just sound bites. So we're going to have a lot of talk on U.S. men's national team. We're going to talk about Atlanta United and the roster decisions. We're going to talk about CONCACAF. We're going to talk about Europe. You heard about what happened yesterday as I was trying to trigger what our friends at BBC Scotland had, Kieran Tierney. The game itself was nuts. And I guess this will be opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And so, as we are working through here, let me see if I can find it. There's the QR code. There's your QR code for those of you hanging out here this morning. We want you to start your day off with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. We want you to buy out the store. What happens then when you buy out the store is you get it at a 15% discount using the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Yesterday, it was an opportunity for TV partners of particular tournaments to showcase matches that really did matter. It took me a good 20 minutes to find that match yesterday. To find the Scotland-Denmark match took me a good 20 minutes in play. Traditionally, you know what I do. We'll look at the Big 55. We'll sit there and we'll talk into our remote, which you can do these days with, certain providers and such. So I talked into my remote, tried to find Scotland and Denmark, didn't give it to me. Didn't even give it to me. It gave me a subscribing service that I didn't have. And short of wanting to purchase said subscriber service, which I know I'm going to have to do eventually anyway, I didn't go down that road. So I was trying to figure out all of the different places. And Dell was asking me the same kinds of questions yesterday, too, about trying to find things. And did you find it? Where'd you find it? What happened? And so I ended up finding it, but I went around my backside to get to my front side. Tried to think about all of the acumen that we have in trying to find matches and find things. And I finally did get there, but it was like 20 minutes into the match itself before I could finally track it down. The network here in the United States that has an opportunity to showcase matches like that decided to show a match that was a 7-0 final that had really no bearing on anything if chalk was going to happen. So they decided they wanted to broadcast on their platform, not even on their main platform, on their secondary channel, this match that was a 7-0 final. And if you know what happened in Europe yesterday, you know what match I'm talking about. Or if you were buzzing through channels, you know which one I'm talking about. The network had an opportunity to showcase a game like that yesterday. They did not do it. They didn't do it. Instead, they showed a 7-0 match and left the rest of us to try to either subscribe to something or try and find it using our searching acumen and all of our dirty tricks to try and figure out where it was. Found it, but it took entirely too long. Obviously, the match in and of itself, the second half was more important, obviously, as you're trying to figure out who's going where. But the fact that I was having to find that match, and our friends at Soccer America didn't even know where it was. Traditionally, you know what we do, the where to watch, how to watch it kind of a thing. We always do that just as a public service. They didn't even have it in their system. That's how tucked away this match was yesterday here in the continental United States. You're doing the game a disservice when you do stuff like that. Pull a wild card out of your hat. Change your feed. Let everybody know on social media, hey, this game's going to be a blowout, we think. No disrespect to the country that we think is going to get blown out, but we got a better matchup here. We got a better matchup that actually means something. And it's even on our secondary channel. It's not even on our primary channel because we have our talk format in the afternoon. It's on our secondary channel where we traditionally tuck these kinds of things away. I even looked to the mothership to see if they were going to do something there. But as it turned out, they weren't even doing that. Not on the mothership. Local affiliates were running their programming. You had people standing at lecterns trying to figure out whether or not they should be paid money that they felt they were owed. People were going to news like they do at 4 o'clock in the Eastern time zone. You couldn't find that match yesterday, but we finally did. So the network that is broadcasting the cup that the world is chasing after next year on decision day in Europe tucked this match away, didn't even have it in their grid, and left the rest of us using our brain power, the stuff between the ears, to try to find it. We did. You had a moment like you had yesterday. You had a half like you had yesterday. And I know I'm rolling here, and I know that that Tyler's off and running here. So I'm going to bring Tyler in while I'm still mid-vent. So yesterday I was explaining an opening kickoff where the game in Europe, capital T, capital G.
Yes.
The one that was deciding everything, where people were going nuts, and it was fantastic. And I cannot now wait to find out where Scotland is playing in the cup that the world is chasing after next year, because Flower of Scotland in each of these venues is going to be insane.
It's the whole thing, right? Like, it's not just them. There's so many other stories, but like, yeah, I'm
just getting wound up, brother.
Just getting started. No, I'm super excited.
So yesterday I was explaining. So technically we're still an opening kickoff as we bring you in. So yesterday, that match, you literally had to send out signal flares and search parties and try and find people that you like, the bloodhound dogs that could find soccer matches with VPNs or whatever. That's what you had to do to find this match yesterday.
Yep.
The network that is broadcasting this cup that the world is chasing after next year broadcast a 7-0 Horizon job instead. That was on their grid. It was on their secondary channel. It wasn't on their primary channel because of stuff like what we do in the morning. That wasn't that. This what you and I are doing was there on their primary channel. The mothership was doing syndicated programming, people doing news, all that stuff that you anticipate. They wasn't even done there, which they've done in the past. So it wasn't on the mothership, wasn't on their primary channel, wasn't on their secondary channel, because the match that they showed, the favorite was a plus 10,000 and was technically really off the board. If you wanted to spend some juice boxes on that team that was going to get boat raced, then they did. So we had to use our thinking. We had to use our VPNs and all of our acumen and trying to pull in favors to try to figure out where this match was. It was the match of the day, and it was buried.
Yep. Now, as an aside, the radio call was off the chain.
Yes. Yeah. That's why we led with it this morning.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it's 2025. It's almost 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when I still feel like, so I'm going to go back and so it's funny because
yes,
I feel like you're gonna have a story that'll top this one, and that is no offense, that is not an age joke. I'm just saying. I remember
my age is a joke, but okay, go ahead.
I remember, like back in like the early 90s, like we had this portable. It's so funny to even say it like this. Portable TV.
I had a portable TV. Did you have a Watchman, or was it like one of the small boxes?
I don't remember like what exactly, if there was a brand or whatever, but it was a box. It almost looked like a big Game Boy, and it literally had the bunny ears.
That's a Watchman, yeah.
Okay, that might have been what it was. And I remember trying to get like the local Atlanta channels, somewhere between here and Greensboro, Georgia, to watch like Pokemon on Friday leaving school.
You're probably watching JBF out of Augusta, though.
This would have been
Wagga, Channel 2, Channel 5.
Yeah.
Closer to Greensboro, you might be catching the rabbit ears out of Macon and MAZ.
But it was also like where we were at technology at the time also meant that I was kind of in the Bermuda Triangle of nothing, where I was catching like 3 channels at once.
Absolutely true.
Anyway, that's what this reminds me. This is the 2025 equivalent of having the Walkman, or Watchman.
The Walkman, and they brought the Watchman, and everybody was like, "Oh my god,
yeah, I can watch TV." But that's what this is. It's so frustrating. I totally agree. It's like, dude, I feel like this is. It's not like this is 5th division soccer in Luxembourg or whatever.
Not that I wouldn't mind watching that again.
Right. I mean, I'm not, no offense to 5th division soccer in Luxembourg, but this is admittedly the tournament that happens before the big tournament that happens to be the biggest sporting event in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe make it a little more accessible to watch.
I'm just saying. And it was the match of the grid. It was the one that had the most excitement attached to it, the one that meant the most, the one that had the most chaotic possibilities. That is not me, by the way.
That was me. I don't know what that was. Sorry.
Is somebody trying to reach out to you knowing that you're on live TV?
Right. Like, what are we doing here? Spam?
You're doing live guesting, and it's like people are dialing in. Honestly, it's probably Tommy.
Yeah.
If
what are you doing?
If he's awake. Yeah, I'm okay. Tyler's around. I'm gonna call him. One of those kind of things. Hey, what are we talking about tonight? I don't know.
What's going on?
Not there yet. So you had this match go on yesterday. Once you found it, it was chaos personified, which kind of led us into the rest of the day. You have Scotland with a lead. They're up a man on a second yellow, which turns into a red. So they're up a man. They get the lead. It lasts 3 minutes and 32 seconds as Denmark scores again. And people are sitting there going, are you blanking kidding me with this? And so match is tied. Then Kieran Tierney comes in off the bench, launches a left foot, goes in the net. And then you're up 3-2, match is getting stretched. And you find out, hey, late, Kasper Schmeichel's off his line. You launch from basically midfield. You get it past him, and it's 4-2, and Scotland wins, and an entire country goes upside down. And you had to look to find it.
Yep.
And it was the dumbest search that you had to have on a day like that yesterday. And that just started the day. That just started it. So Scotland's in. Actually, when we were leaving yesterday, UAE and Iraq were doing the playoff, and you had a 106th minute penalty call to decide who was going to go where, who was in, who was going to the Intercontinental playoff extravaganza. So that started your day as we were leaving yesterday. Then you got Europe. You got Europe all figured out. And then you've got CONCACAF last night, where literally it was so big. Sorry, it was so damn big that Golasso show resurrected itself at night for this match day, where you had 6 matches and you had 95,000 different things that could happen. And Golasso was off the charts, especially toward the end. And I'll see if I can find the timeline. But CONCACAF was out of its mind last night too. So we finish Europe. Europe gets finished, what, about 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
And then you're getting ready. 8 o'clock, everything starts. The 6 matches in CONCACAF start simultaneously at 8 o'clock. I had the Curacao match on one monitor. I had Golasso on another. So I'm keeping an eye on all 6. That's what it was. I mean, for dads like you were probably having to pay attention to, I don't know, like family things. But yeah, it was the boss was at a work dinner. And so I'm like, I've got Curacao on one monitor. I've got Golasso on all 6-pack on the other. So I was bouncing around all over the place last night. Where were you, sir, at 8 o'clock?
I was finally getting done and sitting down to watch some CONCACAF. This week has been rather difficult. We're getting ready for Jace's birthday, right?
Uh-oh.
He is the Thanksgiving turkey type.
What do you get the brainiac that has everything?
Well, I mean, he's the wild one. So turning 6, we had one idea, and he might be in the living room listening right now, so I can't say what it was.
Sure.
But that's not happening anymore because he fell off the monkey bars and broke his arm.
Oh,
so yeah, on Monday. So it's been almost 2 days of just things rapidly changing. So sitting down to watch the U.S. play Marcelo Bielsa last night, I was like, well, this is a great thing. I get to watch either.
Well, that was the third TV, yeah.
My team play well, hopefully, or B, my favorite coach of all time do what he does.
Yeah.
Turns out he did not do what he does, but my team did win. So it worked out. But that was the first respite of the day.
Okay. So since you have hit this pause on the clock, it is 8 o'clock Eastern time last night. So what direction would you like to go, sir? Would you like to discuss what happened with the USMNT, or would you like to discuss CONCACAF and CONCA-chaos? What direction do you want to go?
I mean, we can hit on the U.S. first, and then we can talk, because Curacao, that has to be talked about. Sure.
No question. Right. All right. So Adam Booker last night on the 280 character app, and I guess our number one is just going to be a whole blanking opening kickoff. a particular coach that is active in this window of friendlies reportedly told one of his players playing in Major League Soccer, quote, makes players lazy, end quote, and that they must play elsewhere to make this particular coach's squad. That particular coach was down 4-1 at the half at the Pirate Ship last night in Tampa. Marcelo Bielsa actually said that.
Yep.
Uruguay head coach Marcelo Bielsa told one of his players playing in MLS makes players lazy and that they must play elsewhere to make his squads. So with that in and of itself that happened, this happened last night in Tampa, courtesy of BR Football and the U.S. and U.S. Soccer their own selves.
Maybe just a little bit, but it might have made a difference here. Berhalter this time goes short to Dest. Berhalter swings it in! Berhalter across to take this. Heavily involved in the opening 20 minutes. It's been a great start for the United States. Berhalter swings this one in. Back post! Oh, it's headed in! It's another goal for the United States. It's Alex Freeman, and the lead is doubled inside 20 minutes in Tampa Bay. Berhalter. Strong challenge there from Tillman, and here's Freeman in round the back. The way opens up for Alex Freeman! Trusty. Down the line, kept in by Tolkien. Tolkien rolls it forward for Tillman. Tillman into the middle. It's Luna!
Tanner Tessman of Birmingham, Alabama gets a goal last night. Not one, not two, not three. I feel like I Stone Cold Steve Austin all of a sudden. Not four, 5 on the board, 4 in the first half. You were up 4-0, then an absolute just ridiculous goal made it 4-1 as an by the way in the first 45 minutes. So Marcelo Bielsa and Uruguay got taken out back. I mean, this is where you grab that. This is where Mauricio Pochettino grabbed the switch. Literally, he found something that fell out of a tree in the backyard, took it to the Pirate Ship on Dale Mabry, brought it into the Pirate Ship, and just was like, it was whooping stick, man.
Mm-hmm. And that's his old mentor. That's his guy. That's also Tata Martino's guy, to bring it back to Atlanta United. That's also Gabriel Heinze's guy. That's a lot of guys like everybody. A lot of folks learned from Bielsa. But last night
I'm just wondering at the half if Bielsa thought about bringing back that grenade and opening the door. You know, the one time when the fans were mad at him, they knocked on his door and he brought a live grenade to the door. He's like, "You want to talk?" I'm just wondering if he brought that grenade into the locker room at the half.
I mean, sitting on his bucket as he does.
Yeah.
I don't know. You always kind of wonder, like, what's in that bucket? What do you have going on there, buddy? But no, I mean,
I think Will has it right. Belt to ass.
Yeah, that was a straight up whooping for sure. I mean, it's exactly what the U.S. needed on the back of the Paraguay game too. Like, these are two really good sides. I mean, Uruguay coach, I mean, take away the Bielsa thing, but like they have really good players. And it's not like you just went out and kind of had a game of kickabout for 90 minutes. I mean, you went out and played, in my opinion, that was the best that the U.S. men's national team has looked overall against a good side, a good team, probably since, in my opinion, the World Cup or shortly thereafter. And the fact that the lineup is, I love that Pochettino got kind of bothered last night when he was asked.
We've got that sound.
Okay. You roll it whenever you're ready.
Okay.
But he essentially, to paraphrase, as you, I think, pull it up, he was just like, what are regular players like, in reference to like, where's McKinney starting? Where's Pulisic? Like all these guys that you normally see. And it was asked like, these aren't the regular, quote unquote, regular players. And he was like, no, this is the U.S. men's national team. It's not about who's the regular player. These are all players. It's disrespectful. Anyway, I thought it was great, though.
So here's literally the first 6 minutes and 40 seconds of Mauricio Pochettino's press conference. First question is asked, and this is 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Once again, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer. This is after the first question, and the question. Let me grab the question so it is out there so you have the context. First question: what does a result like this do for your team heading into a long stretch where you're not going to see them, particularly given the guys who are on the field tonight, a lot of regulars rested? How's this going to help you guys going into the new year? Answer, Mauricio Pochettino.
Sorry, I don't want to be negative, no? But I hate that not regular players. What means? It's USA playing. It's the national team. Stop with that mindset. Every time that our decision is about to pick and start in 11, is the US men's national team playing. And after 1 year, I think you need to really know me that I hate to talk in this way. It's so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful because I think we need to give credit to all the guys that today were involved, and again Paraguay too. I think it's about to win games, it's to perform, and to be honest, is of course the player you need to call for their name. But I think the most important, and we were talking now in the dressing room, and that they put the team first. And we won 2 games, very difficult games against Paraguay and Uruguay, is because of all of them, and the credit is from them. But I think who won the that batch. And it's difficult to accept because I think, and it's not because today we won, because I think that victory doesn't mean nothing for me personally. I think because we need to build our journey until to the World Cup. But what I am really appreciate from the team, for the roster, and for all the staff, is in the way that we start to connect together, and that is the most important. If we want to arrive to the World Cup and to have the chance to challenge the big teams, I think that is in the way that we need to play. And I don't care it's one another. I think it's how the team behave with another player, different player, 9 changes from Paraguay to Uruguay, but to keep the idea, the philosophy, the faith, the fight, the togetherness. I don't know if you can perceive or no before the game how all the bench players were supporting the starting 11. That connection is amazing. It's what we wanted, and I think the credit, like I told to the player now, on the dressing room, is all for them.
That was number one. That was the first question, and so then the follow-up question, the next question, as a part of the press conference. Last time you rotated heavily, it was the Switzerland game. Things didn't go well. This time you rotated heavily, and it shows the depth you built up, the comfort, the understanding that the players you put out there, they know what you want from them. How does that speak to the process of building up block by block, that you now can bring players in, that the confidence translates from the group that was playing Paraguay to the group playing last night? Here's that answer. Once again, courtesy of US Soccer and the...
Yeah, but I think that you say about that there's no normal players or something.
Yeah, that to your point, that the idea of like the regulars.
The regular.
Doesn't,
who are the regular players?
No, I'm saying there is none, is what you're saying.
My question is, maybe I think we need to stop the press conference and I need to go to the dressing room, come back and start again the press conference. Because it's like we were the opposite, losing 5-0, no? 5-1, no?
No, I'm saying...
I am the USA coach, no the another.
Right. No, I'm saying
no,
that
but
it
the
shows that...
regular, tell me which regular player you are talking about, because I don't understand what means regular player.
More experienced players.
Which?
More right? Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Sí, pero yo estoy diciendo que no hay regulares. que este resultado dice que no hay regulares, que pueden jugar con.
Yeah, but I
algunas.
think we need to talk about that to congratulate the player. I don't know if you know they are listen at that press conference, and players feel that the non regular player they play and they did well. I don't know. If I am the player, I am very disappointed with that. If I am and then we are going to ask things that, to be honest, maybe I am tired and I don't understand the English now or your English question because to be honest, very disappointed in the first two questions because I don't know what do you expect, what I'm going to say when you say no natural players playing today or the another day or in the Gold Cup or I don't know when. Very sad situation. Keep going.
He ain't having it no more. I think Mauricio Pochettino's done. He's like, nah, this is a group, you know. And so to answer your question, Del, the first question was from Doug McIntyre at FOX. Second question was from Paul Tenorio at The Athletic. So yeah, I figured you might want to take a sip out of the Scarves and Spikes mug before you go in on those two. But yeah, Mauricio Pochettino in about 6 minutes and 40 seconds, he's done.
I think, and actually, Ricky kind of really summed up a lot of what I was going to say, but he said that's what you want to hear from a manager. I think this is the kind of discourse that this country's manager has needed to have going back a long time.
Mm-hmm.
A long time. And I'm not saying that you need to get a Jose Mourinho up there to say all kinds of crap just for, you know, the headlines and the highlights, but I think it's been a very, very difficult short tenure so far for Pochettino. I like Pochettino a lot. If you ever get a chance to read his book, go check it out. It's really, really good. It covers his time when he was stepping into Spurs and kind of, you know, the ins and outs of how he manages and how he's a man manager more so than a soccer tactics guy. And you end up with guys that want to play for him, but you end up with guys that want to play for him because he expects more than what you've probably been giving. And very old school kind of mentality. I always go back to the story of how Bielsa, funny enough, found him and first didn't introduce himself to him, but came to his house 3 hours away from where Bielsa was coaching. And his mom and dad, Pochettino's mom and dad, let him in the house at like midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Pochettino's in his room asleep, and Bielsa, weird, but he says, can I take a look at the boy? And the dad's like, sure, whatever. So they go into his room. He goes, let me see his legs. And so the dad pulls the covers down. They take a look at his legs, and he goes, all right, send him on the train, next week, and we'll start working. And that was his intro to Bielsa. And he ended up taking so much from Marcelo Bielsa in terms of how he's a man manager and how he knows what he wants and he's going to make it happen come hell or high water. So when you hear these things being said in a press conference where you can look at the translation part of it and say, all right, well, maybe he didn't understand exactly what was being asked, but I don't think that's it. I think really what it comes down to is he's trying to instill a culture that is you play for the United States men's national team. Full stop. It is not you're the Christian Pulisic's, the Weston McKennies, like all these kind of like ones that have been in the typical squad over the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
If I call you up, I expect you to play at a World Cup level. Period. It doesn't matter if you play in Major League Soccer. It doesn't matter if you play in that 5th tier in Luxembourg. If I call you up, it's because I see something and you're a part of the men's national team. Done. I don't care what your name is, and I don't care where you've played before. You're going to come here and you're going to be part of the men's national team, and you're going to be that is going to be your identity. Not, oh, I'm the A team, not
Yes.
the B team. That's that. And
It's like, my name is blank and I'm the starting striker
Yeah.
for the U.S. men's national team. No, you are the U.S. men's national team.
Exactly.
You're a player for it, and you will be at position X.
yeah, and I think it almost kind of is incumbent upon him to come into a press conference, and not that there's anything wrong with the questions. It's just I think everybody's so accustomed to looking at the men's national team that way that the only way that you can change the culture of it is moments like that where you kind of look at everybody and say, "No, what you're saying is crazy. This is how it is."
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
I like it.
He ain't having no more of that stuff, and especially after you put a thumping on your mentor like you did,
Yeah.
and then everybody's sitting there going, well, about this rotation and not having these guys and having these guys, how's it going to affect not having these guys the next time out when you have these guys here? It's like, no, that is not what we're doing here. It is a universality. It is one deal. Doesn't matter who's here. They're doing the one thing. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter what the name is on the back. We're talking about the crust on the front. Doesn't matter who, doesn't matter the 40 dudes I'm bringing in. It's the crust on the front, not the name on the back. So
Yeah, I mean, you look at a guy like to me, the best example in this particular window is Alex Freeman.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a guy that
but those of us who cover Major League Soccer on a regular basis,
100%.
we saw dude in purple, and it's like, well, he's a problem.
Yep.
And so now it applies to the international stage, and everybody's sitting there going, oh, well, this Alex Freeman person, he seems to be a problem. Well, yeah, we done told y'all that.
Yeah, we've been screaming it from the rooftop. It's just like how we talk about with the twos in the academy, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, look at that guy. He's doing really good for the first team. Yeah, we've been talking about him for 3 years prior to this, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, I think that's a perfect example. You got a guy that came in 7 months before a World Cup and balled out, and to even get there, obviously, that's a credit to Pochettino and his coaching staff, because when you make these kind of wholesale changes, you're looking at the entire pool of players that you have at your disposal. And he saw something in guys like Alex Freeman, Diego Luna, months back, getting his real.
Where is that dude playing?
Right. It's just like, oh, MLS. So I think this is where you want to be. And a lot of people have been admittedly very impatient with Pochettino as he came in. Look, it's one window, but it was a very good window. Mm-hmm. And if you can kind of keep this up, this is the momentum you needed going into 2026, then I think everybody is looking at what could happen in 2026 much more favorably than you probably did 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, ugh. And I think you are absolutely correct. I think though the only thing missing is CM Punk yelling Regal and having him wander into the frame. Regal just sits there and goes, "War games." That's what we're missing. That's the only thing that was missing is, "I'll see you at Hal in a Sal." That kind of a thing. But there was that one moment in the press conference where Pochettino puts on the brakes to his soundbite, and you hear him kind of go, and you're like, "Uh-oh." Here we go. You're like, wait a minute, where's he going to go here? But that was the air brake just got pulled in that press conference where you hear Pochettino go, and you're like, whoa, okay. So you have that from last night on one monitor, and then you have the CONCACAF Thunderdome on as many as 7 monitors if you so chose.
Yeah,
6 games plus Golasso. And I think I found the timeline. So let me see if I've got everything squared away from last night. So if we start at, well, let's just start at say 9. So let's start at halftime. Let's start at halftime last night. So 8:57 p.m. At halftime last night in CONCACAF, Panama, Curacao, and Haiti were into the World Cup. Suriname and Jamaica into the Interconfederation playoff. And so then you have Darwin Lam from North Georgia scoring for Guatemala. Everybody's like, wait a second, Guatemala scored. What's all this on the timeline about Darwin Lam? North Georgia representing Guatemala scoring, man. That's what's going on. And then you have, Darwin Lam scoring. So that sends Suriname into the playoff at 9:21. But Suriname was barely holding on with another goal from Guatemala. So then they were out, and Honduras was into the playoff. Jamaica goes off the crossbar. Curacao was in still at the time because that was still a goalless draw. Then Trinidad scored in a dead rubber just to try to create the over on the night for goals scored. Curacao scored, but the goal got taken back. Then you had Joel Campbell trying to score and save Costa Rica's future. And then you had, Jamaica gets a red card. Jamaica hit the post for the third time. Kendall Waston apparently wanted to fight all of Honduras. Drew Fisher, I don't know what Drew Fisher was thinking, man. Drew Fisher was kind of somewhere in the match that he was calling.
They're in spirit.
Costa Rica picks up a red card. Suriname scored again. Then you have Suriname back into the playoff. Jamaica had a PK. Honduras was out at 9:58, and now Honduras had to put the pedal down. Curacao had to make a save and a PK. There was no VAR. Then Ivan Bartone called it. They wave off the PK in the Curacao game with a foul inside the 18. You end up with all of this chaos going on, and then by the end of it all, Canada was still beating Venezuela 1-0, and Ismail Kone in a friendly almost had the Gordie Howe hat trick. He had a goal and a red. And so you end up by the end of it with absolute chaos. And Curacao, they go in. They win for their country, the smallest ever to make it in. They win for Dick Advocat, who was at home with his wife. And that country makes it in. Insert 12-year-old reaction here about Dick Advocat and big energy. So just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Steve McLaren apparently after the match was in tears and resigned from Jamaica. So Jamaica goes into the Intercontinental Playoff Extravaganza and Coffee Clatch needing a caretaker manager or a new manager, period. But that was literally from 8:57 until 10 o'clock last night. That is everything that happened in what Scott Hansen calls the witching hour. And I would have, to get like Andrew Siciliano or Scott Hansen, to have them call that last hour last night, to call the witching hour from 8:57 to 10, that would have been absolutely amazing. But that's what you had last night in CONCACAF.
It never disappoints. I love it. It never disappoints. It's such a cluster. Like CONCACAF literally just could be renamed. I can't say the full word, but just a cluster of soccer.
The cluster letter of the alphabet between E and G.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just, it's so entertaining. And even more so, like you ramp up the stakes, right? Like you ramp up everything when it comes to World Cup qualifying, and especially considering, you have the expanded format in this version. And of course it would be CONCACAF that essentially puts all of the drama into 1 hour of television.
Yeah, absolutely. Haiti in for the first time in 52 years. Curacao in for the first time ever. And for anyone who wants to know about Haiti's background going into this tournament, John Arnold did a great piece over at the 4-letter. This is your required reading of the day, plus subscribing to Get CONCACAF. His Substack is must read for research and for keeping an eye on everything going on. He did a great piece about what Haiti as a nation is going through. Haiti cannot even play in their national stadium in their home country because after the assassination of their president a couple of years ago, all of the large gangs that are in country took over the soccer stadium. They're like, oh, that looks nice. That's ours now. And so because of all of the political unrest, because of everything that has happened with Mother Nature sitting there and basically, using it as the center of a bullseye when it comes to hurricanes, they're going through so much ish that they are redefining the definition of going through ish. And the national team comes out the other side playing their home matches in Curacao. So literally, and you did have fans travel, which I thought was really cool, that you had fans leaving that made it from Haiti to Curacao for this match, in this opportunity for them. But for the first time in 52 years, for a country that has gone through so much crap to go through the other side and come into this tournament, I thought that was clutch too.
Yeah, and it's still going through it. I
Mhm.
mean, it is
Mhm.
actively.
Mhm. You look, if you want to write a dissertation for a PhD, focus on Haitian politics. You would
Yep.
probably get an A+, and you would have to research the thing, and it would be about that thick. It would be like one of Tata Martino's books about research.
Yeah.
It would be that thick when it comes to what's going on in Haiti right now.
Yeah, it is a struggle.
Oh.
So yeah, so just super because the one thing that you can at least look to soccer, it's going to unify for the most part,
Mhm.
and this is just one of those moments where like, cool, as if you're a Haitian, you can look at that and say, hey man, we did that. That's really awesome.
Mhm.
Even though you were kind of having to be um, taken care of it in a different country entirely to even make it happen in the first place.
Mhm.
But it's just a cool story. I love it.
Absolutely true. What else what else from CONCACAF stuck with you last night?
I don't know. It's just like all these stories. I mean, you mentioned Scotland in the beginning, and then of course Curacao, Haiti. Like those are just they're just super cool moments. I mean, I was like hyper focused on the U.S. game because of everything, but I mean, you've got some interesting storylines I think coming up going forward, but it's just CONCACAF gonna CONCACAF. I guess.
Eh, nothing wrong with this last night would have been a fantastic night for Sickos committee. And I just like Sickos committee soccer. Look, just go over here, just kind of hang out for a little bit. The decision day, that's for you. Enjoy that one. Hang on, just go and sit and just kick back and have as many monitors up as humanly possible. Before you get out of here, Atlanta United made some news and notes the last couple of days. Tata Martino has named his technical staff. No surprises. Jorge Taylor, the assistant number one. Some gentleman named Gerardo Martino Jr.
Yeah.
is going to be an assistant. Rodrigo Rios is an assistant. Manuel Alfaro is your fitness coach, along with Rodolfo Palladini. Head of video analysis is Damian Silver, and Elliot Parrish is your keeper coach. So that got announced. That got announced as of 4 minutes ago. So we're actually being topical in describing that. Roster decisions yesterday for Atlanta United and for the Twos. Obviously, I know a lot of folks at the end of the season had gravitated toward Brooks Lennon with his high price point. So Lennon was not renewed. Jamal TRA was. Togashi was. A lot of the lesser salaried players that we are accustomed to, having as a part of the discussion, they are going to be hanging around. So did anything stick with you one way or the other with names either staying or not staying with Atlanta and the Twos?
I think only two that they didn't surprise me. I think they could have gone either way. We did our kind of like a couple of weeks ago our own opinions. We did the classic gladiator, thumbs up or thumb down as to whether or not they were staying. And I think we were all pretty close. But for the first team, I think TRA. I got to wonder about the price point, but then also, this is just the first step in a very long process. So whether or not you look at this as Tata Martino sees something in TRA that he feels like he can unlock, and look, TRA has been a decent backup striker. It's not like he's been bad.
Yeah.
Concerned about his fitness, though his fitness was much better in 2025.
When the man is healthy, yes.
But yeah, but I'm not mad at it. It could have gone either way for me. And then for the second team, we'll see what happens with Javier Armas. But I think, he was one of those that he's been the leader. He's been kind of like a quote unquote veteran presence. But I mean, there's some names that are familiar that didn't get picked back up, like Neary.
Right.
But I think it kind of goes back to what Chris Henderson said recently about, the Twos might get even younger, and you have a very stacked and packed midfield in the academy and the Twos. And so you really got to move guys to give them opportunities and time. So nothing that just blew my mind. I think it kind of made sense for the most part.
So for those that may not have known, the Twos moves came out yesterday after lunch. It was now under contract. You have 8 players returning for 26, including the re-signing of Moises Tablante and Patrick Weah. 6 players: James Donaldson, Arif Kovac, Toto Majub, Jono Ransom, Santi Pita, and Jono Ransom, by the way. Jono Ransom at the U17s.
Yeah.
You want to talk about somebody who's not
Hold
afraid
on, Dibu Martinez vibes.
yeah, not afraid to woof in a PK situation. Go back, videos out there, and it's great because you have the country that he had ties to, and folks were jumping back and forth and all of the woofing there. So go back and watch that video. It's a great video. Santi Pita, Ignacio Suarez Corey remain under contract for 26. Tablante and Weah were out of contract, re-signed to MLS Next Pro contracts for 26, both with club options for 27. Contract options declined on Ryan Carmichael, Big Sal, Rodrigo Neri, and Ronan Wynn. Javi Armas is out of contract. Caden Moore returns from his loan from Philadelphia Union 2. Hopefully the Philadelphia Unionness will, when he comes back onto the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground, he will reassume the Atlanta United vibes.
Yeah.
Aiden Torres returning to the first team roster after his loan expires. So under contract, Donaldson, Kovac, Majub, Jono Ransom, Santi Pita, Ignacio Suarez Curry, Tablante, and Weah. Declined: Carmichael, Mazzaferro, Rodrigo Neri, Ronan Wynn, Javi Armas out of contract, homegrown in 26 is Caden Moore. So that's what you're staring at from the twos with the decisions that were made yesterday. And for folks that might have missed the decisions involving Atlanta United in general, you had mentioned the big price point involving Jamal, and I think it was just somewhere in the 700 range.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, and Brooks Lennon's was, I think, close to 8. It was somewhere in the mid 7s. So Brooks Lennon, Josh Cohen, Nick Sessick, Leo Afonso, they are not a part right now of the season going forward for Atlanta United. Contract options declined. Afonso, Cohen, Lennon, Ronald Hernandez, Nick Sessick. Atlanta remains in negotiation with Ronald Hernandez. Options exercised: Matt Edwards, Jay Fortune, Jaden Hibbert, Will Riley, Jamal Thierry, Cayman Togashi, Noah Cobb, currently on loan with the Rapids, who have until December 15 to exercise a permanent trade option. So 6 exercised, 5 decline. Obviously, Brad retired, so you now have the 1 keeper in Jaden Hibbert, 8 defenders: Amador, Baracol, DCQ, Noah Cobb with the caveat: Edwards, Gregerson, Mihai, Caden Moore. 11 in the midfield: Almiron, Alzate, Jay Fortune, Saba, Alexi, Mosqueda, who is technically on loan to Millonarios through the end of the fiscal year, Muyumba, Riley, Sanchez, Sleesh, and Torres. Forwards: Luke, Ashton Gordon, Latte Lot, TRA, and Togashi. So that is where things currently stand with Atlanta United in the twos. That's a lot of information, man.
It is. Lots going on. and lots more, or at least, we have the Chris Henderson press conference. So who knows what else will come out from that. But yeah, I mean, a lot's going on. Yes. And again, these are just the initial steps. Yeah, there's so much more of an offseason to have for Atlanta United. So.
And I believe the Chris Henderson presser is supposed to start in about a minute. Is that right?
I do believe so, yeah.
So Chris Henderson, he will be speaking to the assembled media starting at 10 o'clock. We'll obviously keep an eye on that as we go here on the midweek. Before you depart and continue your second cup of coffee?
Yes.
And figure out your Thanksgiving birthday presents.
Yes.
For someone, wow. It's a broken wing and a birthday.
Yeah, I mean, it was the radius and the ulna.
Oh, no. It
was good.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's kind of that reminds me of the Cam Scadaboo injury. I can't watch those kinds of things. See, that's a delicate dance because you have to sit there and go, well, we've got to do well for his birthday, but how much more effort do we put into it because he's got a broken wing? And
it's like it's calling an audible entirely, because here's the thing too, though. He's so crazy. He doesn't sit down. Even he broke his arm. I'm like, but you gotta chill out. You can't be running around acting crazy. You fall on it, it's gonna make it worse. He had soccer this week. That's out the window, obviously.
Well, why? All he's got to do is just sit there and treat it like Iron Mike Sharp or Dusty Rhodes or something,
slinging it around like Mega Man or Iron Man or something.
Yeah, that's easy.
But no, we gotta adjust. So
okay. Because it's like, do we go that little extra mile because he's got the broken arm? Do we sit there and try to make him feel that much better? Is it sit there? Nah, this one's on you. You're going back to your normal level of Thanksgiving, birthday, and Thanksgiving and gifts and things. So that's that's the dance that parents have to do in this kind of a situation.
Yeah.
What cup of coffee are you on?
Number 2.
Okay. So what's going on tonight?
We'll have the show at 7. We will be talking about obviously whatever comes out in this Chris Henderson press conference and the moves, coaching staff, all the news that's come out over the past couple of days. Gray has a good article up on scrubbersandspikes.com about the College Cup, which has some Atlanta United talent in it. So we'll probably chat about that a little bit as well. And yeah, I guess the wild card right now is what Chris says in the next hour.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll obviously keep an eye on that. Okay, go monitor Chris Henderson. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Great to see you.
Absolutely. See y'all.
All right, there we go. And there goes Tyler. And Tyler's going to go listen to Chris Henderson and see what he has to say. And so now that it is top of the hour, we start hour number 2. And for this, we go to the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, find out what's going on Dylan's mind as we get ready for MLS playoffs coming up. It's like international break. It kind of disappears, and you're like, oh, crap, we have playoffs. And so we have playoffs to discuss. Hello, Dylan.
Hey, how are you?
Busiest man in the Northeast. What have you been up to with all of the things these days?
Oh, man. I always appreciate speaking with you, and it just generally, but also in that you know the feels.
Mm-hmm.
So between Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I did 3, 4, 5. I did 6 football playoff games, and I think I spent a combined 30 hours in the Hofstra press box, which is lovely. It's a nice press box. It's one of those where the facilities are right there, press box level, so you don't have to go find a place
independent of where you're working.
Correct.
Yes.
That's always a positive. Obviously, never the case at high school games. So nice big elevator to get you up to the top floor and beautiful vantage point of the games. But it was a lot.
Mm-hmm. And your schedule, I think, is a couple weeks ahead of it the way it is.
Yeah, from you. Yep.
And so you're starting earlier. Things are compressed. Here we are getting ready for the second round of the postseason, and it is now. It runs all the way through. It runs all the way through the semifinals, and then second week of December, so they can have the championships in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They take that week off because they don't know if the Falcons are going to get flexed or
no, for sure,
or anything like that with the SEC championship. So they wait until after that that Falcons weekend, and they go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday the week after. And
okay,
so it's like 10 days from the semifinal to the final, and it is 3 days at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it is 13 championship games, I think, in 3 days, if memory serves. Because flag football has really taken off here as a sanctioned sport in the state of Georgia, and Arthur Blank has devoted a lot of effort and resources to expanding the sport in the high school ranks, and so it has taken off to the point to where it started out 4 years ago, I want to say, where you only had close to 40 schools in the state that have it. Now you have north of 200. And so you have, I think, if memory serves, I think you now have 5 separate classifications for flag football in the state of Georgia. And they do it by, school attendance figures and things like that. But it has grown from like 40 to north of 200. And so now you have 5 championship games. And it is crazy, the athleticism that you see and just how flag football has exponentially grown in the high school side of things over the last handful of years. It's like, well, okay, so day 2, we're going to start an hour early, and our first game is going to be flag football at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we're going, oh, man. 5, it's literally, I think it's 4. I think it's 4 the first day, and 2 of them are flag. I think it's 5 the middle day, and 2 of them are flag, and then it's 4 the final day, and 1 is flag, if I remember correctly. So I think that's how it delineates itself now. But yeah, that middle day where you're off the air by like 10 o'clock, 10:30, hopefully, and you've got to be back on the air at 10 o'clock in the morning for day number 2 at Mercedes-Benz. That's going to be the turn where folks are going to sit there and go, yeah, we're feeling it, man.
Well, there's plenty of places there. There's nice suites you can just duck into and hang out and sleep overnight. I'm sure, but I don't know. For me, play-by-play high school football, like football-wise, I think 3 is my max. I don't think I can go over 3. I haven't tried. There hasn't been the occasion, but 3 is a lot. Now, also, you would appreciate just in the whole preparation standpoint, which is why I wasn't with you last Wednesday.
Conference calls.
Last week, of the 8 teams that I had to prepare for, 5 were teams I hadn't seen before.
Ooh.
So those are all brand new charts and offense and defense and history. This week I have 4 games between Friday and Saturday, 2 different locations. Back at Hofstra for the Nassau County Championship games. I'm doing 2 of those, and I had just seen all 4 teams, so that's a plus from the semifinals. And then I'm going up to Fordham University Saturday morning into afternoon for the Catholic League Championship. Those are 2 games, and I've seen 2 of the 4 teams. So it's only 2 new teams. So it's all my calls. My last call was this morning. So we're in not quite the desperation mode. It felt like I was in last week. There was a blowout in the first game on Friday of my doubleheader. So like they were going to have a 90-minute running clock for the second game, and it hadn't even started for a good 10 minutes. And everyone's like, "Where are we going to go to eat? What are we going to do?" I'm like, "Just get me jersey mics. I need to get in. I got to do these charts." So like I was doing the charts in the press box, and it was a lot. But
no, it's but what I have learned is that I will take that. I get a hotel room for the championships. I literally will spend 4 days in a hotel room 5 minutes away from the stadium.
Perfect.
So I don't go home and have to drive that 30 minutes, and you never know, because that 30 minutes going home and then 30 minutes coming back into the building the next day, I could be at a hotel room 5 minutes away, and I can study and I can decompress and get everything ready for the next day, garbage in, garbage out, get my lineup in and ready to go. So that I've learned that over time.
No, that's a good shout.
I will take the time that normally would be at home, and I will make a hotel my home close to the stadium. I learned that one.
No, that's smart. So you're a veteran.
Yeah, you ain't telling me nothing. So where do you want to start? We mentioned CONCACAF. We got into that last night, and the crazy.
Yeah, man, I was on the desk last night for the U.S. That was awesome, right? Like even from just an MLS standpoint, right? I'm on, and you know how this all works. You're like, all right, if we could tie it back into MLS, that'd be great. And then what? Like Berhalter, boom. All right, great. So now we have an angle. And Alex Freeman, 2 goals. Luna, right? Like that was super impressive. I don't envy. Two things. One, I am very impressed with Pochettino's openness or willingness to look beyond what maybe other managers would say would be the obvious, right? Like who plays for AC Milan or who plays for, in the Premier League or the Bundesliga, those are our guys. But he's expanded it obviously to the point where, guys like Berhalter and Freeman, it'd be hard pressed not to have them part of that roster, right, for the World Cup. So credit to him, as he jumps in. And again, that was his whole background, like being in the European leagues, right, and being the Premier League. So credit to him to broadening his horizons, I think is the word I was looking for. Willing to tap into different potential for his pool. And the negative of it, I guess, which is you would call maybe champagne problems, is now you've got a lot of guys who have played well, so that whittling down after New Year is going to be tough.
Yeah, and you brought in 4 keepers for camp, and you only had Matt Freese play in the games that mattered. I didn't know if there was going to be, and I say this somewhat tongue in cheek, where you were going to have a situation where you have, we'll just play U45 and U45 and U45 and U45. Didn't happen that way. Matt Freese got all 180. He, according to our friends at Soccer America, and this is what we use as kind of our baseline for grading, Matt Freese got a 5 last night. wasn't necessarily challenged, and I don't think he
Well,
could.
no, the one goal was off of his miscue.
Oh.
Like, I mean, it was an incredible goal that
Mhm.
was scored, but
Yep. Yep. So let's see. Quoting Soccer America, could have done better on their goal, coming off his line to claim a cross, but missing recycled possession, eventually scoring 4-1. Quote, it wasn't and I think this is Waitala who did this last night. No, sorry, Ben Wright. So Ben Wright says, wasn't a major red flag. You'd like to see the presumed starting goalkeeper be more authoritative in that moment. And so that was how he phrased Matt Freese's boo-boo last night. I gave him a 5 out of 10. And now they've started doing half numbers. Center backs, obviously, talks about Alex Freeman. Neither Mark McKenzie nor Austin Trusty were spectacular. Both were solid. McKenzie, the captain, probably should have done more to organize the back line for Uruguay's goal, but answered when called on. Trusty, good in the air. Game went on. He began to push higher up the left side, combined in the midfield. Chris put the ball at his feet. Alex Freeman gets an 8.5. McKenzie gets a 6.5. Austin Trusty gets a 7. Wingbacks. Dest reminded fans of what a special player he is with a vibey performance on the right. Consistently involved in the attack, linked up smoothly on the front line, made space for Freeman to push forward, cut inside, nearly pulling off a Rabona to Luna. John Tolkien, less noticeable, but he was a constant outlet in possession, clean on the ball. Dest got a 7.5, Tolkien a 6.5. Sebastian Berhalter, according to Ben Wright, may have had the best individual performance of the Pochettino era. And then he goes on and explains. So Seb Berhalter last night, what'd you think?
he was awesome. I mean, in the goal, in the setup of Freeman's next goal, always active, always dangerous. And then I don't know if you caught the post-game interview with him as well.
We were focused on Mauricio Pochettino not having it with the press anymore.
Yeah.
We played that in hour number 1.
But Sebastian, like, he gets it, man. Like he gets it. And I think obviously that comes from being, a coach's son as well. But I think he's a guy, and he couldn't stop smiling, and he was super, like that energy and that vibe, to steal a word from Ben Wright. I think you need that, right, in a camp as well. So again, it's tough decisions, but I think he's a guy you need to have. Usually we say he's on the plane, but I don't know, on the bus, whatever it is.
Yeah.
For this one,
he's in Comfort Plus, I think, is where he is on the plane. He's not in the back toward the lavatory. He's in like Comfort Plus. That he's in the middle of the plane, heading toward the front of the plane. Berhalter got a 9. Ben gave him a 9. Aiden Morris gets a 7.5. Less flashy, really effective in the shift. Put out a ton of fires without looking stretched. Dangerous all night on the half turn. Picking up his head, playing the ball in the pocket's final third. Fighting a lot of players for a spot on the final roster, but a performance like this won't hurt his chances. I look at it this way. If you're Mauricio Pochettino, that's what you want. You want guys 16 through 30 or 16 through 35. You want them fighting out for positions and laying claim to, hey, I want to be in Comfort Plus. I don't want to be back in steerage. I don't want to be back, behind the engine, listening in row 33. I want to be toward the front of the plane, and having all of those guys that want to make that push. That's what you're hunting for if you're Mauricio Pochettino. You're looking for those guys that want to work toward the front of the plane, not just the dudes happy to sit there and make sure that they get the free headphones and the free snacks and everything, and make sure that their card works if they want to get a mix.
Yeah, and one of the quotes from Berhalter that to me that stood out, from his post match on TNT was, he said that this is who we are. We're dogs, like we just want to get out there and get after it. And you need guys like that, like you need that hunger and that I don't know, desperation, from guys, to push guys who are in the positions that those guys want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A Berhalter, a Luna, a Freeman, let's be honest, they want to go and they want to play in the leagues that the McKennies and the Pulisics and, the Reynas are playing. So you need guys like that to push the envelope.
And just make sure that Marcelo Bielsa is reminded about who plays in Major League Soccer that was on the national team that won last night. Timothy Tillman is 6.5. Diego Luna 7.5. Haji Wright didn't get on the score sheet, opened up a lot of space, so he got a 6. Tanner Tessman and Gio Reyna. Balogun gets and this is off the bench. Balogun, he gives a 5. Tessman a 7 for the goal. Gio Reyna a 6.5. Arfston a 6. Aronson a 5.5. Christian Roldan got a cup of coffee, no rating. 5 goals the USA scored most ever against a team that has won the World Cup. That's a piece of trivia. Notable, 3 players scored their first international goals, Berhalter, Freeman, and Tessman. Off until the March 26 window, no more January camps, so there's no more Camp Frozen Foods. It'll gather one more time before they've got to pick the World Cup squad. And so November 18 in Tampa, Berhalter in the 17th, Freeman in the 20th, Freeman in the 31st, Luna in the 42nd, the worldly by Diatasqueta at 45 plus 1, 4-1 at the break. Tessman scores in the 68th. Yellows to Reyna and Balogun. Betancourt and Aguirre get yellows. Betancourt gets a red for a second yellow in 64th in front of 26,110. 19 shots, 10 to the U.S., 9 on target, 7 to the U.S., 3 saves, 2 to Uruguay, 12 corners, 7 to the U.S., 20 fouls called, 10 on each, offside 3, 2 to the U.S., possession 52-48 to Uruguay from that last friendly. And so yeah, we played Pochettino, who ain't having it no more. We played all that in hour number 1.
But I don't and I don't know if there was a disconnect in the type of question, but you could tell. I mean, obviously you could tell, but he, he's defending the guys who stepped in the field last night. For lack of a better term, I mean the MLS guys, right? Because when you think of the quote unquote regulars, who are those guys, right? For the most part, it's Dest and Jedi and Pulisic and Reyna and Weah and Balogun and all these guys here are European based. So again, he made it part of his project to expand the pool. He's done that, so he wants those guys to get the credit. And I think I don't when it comes to his decision, look, it's going to be his and the staff and US Soccer's decision, but based on what we've seen, would we be surprised to see a few MLS players on that roster? I don't think so.
No.
Not the way that they've been playing, right?
No, absolutely not. So I think that would be there's going to be some MLS influence there, and I'm sure that there's going to be the certain amount of scribes and pundits, et cetera, overseas, regardless of which ocean you're looking at, that are going to poo-poo the whole thing.
Of course,
because it's a native league. That league stinks. Look, it's like top 10 in the world. If top 10 in the world stinks, then so be it.
They say it when they would then also follow up with the MLS.
Yes, the Major League Soccer. That is not how this works, sir. It is Major League Soccer. It's like when someone is trying to explain the idea of RBI in baseball. Mm-hmm. When you say the MLS, it's like RBI, or like when you're saying RBIs. No, that's not how this works. The MLS is RBIs when it comes to soccer. It's not runs batted ins. Yeah. If it's anything, it's RSBI.
Right.
Because it's runs batted in. It's not runs batted ins. It's either RBI or RSBI, and it is MLS, not the MLS. The article, it's okay. The article doesn't have to be there. It is a collective entity that it is the Major League Soccer, but no, it is Major League Soccer. It's just MLS, just the one thing.
What it is it's the playoffs, and we yes. pick back up now.
Yes, absolutely.
It's crazy. So we start off with Saturday, right? The single game.
Mm-hmm.
But what a game that is going to be, man!
Oh, doctor.
And a reminder.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I will regret reminding everybody of this, but I do have the Caps in my bracket winning the whole thing. So this is a big night for me.
Okay.
I also do think, I know it's not really a bold prediction, but I do think the winner of that match, that's the team that will represent the Western Conference in the MLS Cup.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that first-time pressure when it comes to San Diego. First-year team, yeah, you've kind of navigated it, and you've kind of kind of stumbled your way through it and everything. So you did the Chevy Chase Pratt fall and came back up and said live from New York it's Saturday night, so that has happened for San Diego so far. Vancouver is a favorite at home in the juice boxes at a plus 117. I get that. LAFC on the road at plus 206, 90-minute draws at plus 254. Going to BC Place, and we say this a lot, that's an odd duck. It is a weird place to play. The turf responds well if you are a Vancouver Whitecaps player, and it takes a little bit of adjusting for anybody that comes to visit BC Place. That to me is the first thing that you've got to worry about there. And then everybody coming back from international windows and things like that. Denny Bouanga with his time with Gabon, how long does it take for him to get reoriented? And Thomas Mueller and everybody there. I mean, it's like what? Berhalter, and I think that's about it, really. I was going to say Kendall Austin, but I'm dating myself. So Berhalter with Vancouver comes back. Denny Bouanga comes back. But I think that the stability of Vancouver as a team, not losing folks in the international window or as many, is going to help them out at home, where it's traditionally a really rough place to play for anybody.
Yeah, and I think too, they're packing out BC Place, right? 50,000 plus. And I think, and listen, Sonny is a global superstar, so there'll be fans there just to see him, especially in an international city like Vancouver. But I don't know what number you would put on it, but I would probably say 90% at least or more of that crowd are there for Vancouver, which is going to be big too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times have we seen, the Messi show go on the road, and it's like, half the crowd is rooting for him and half the crowd is rooting for the home team. That's not going to be the case, I don't think, in this one. I think it's going to be a big, this is it's the biggest match in their MLS history.
And they're still up for sale, aren't they?
Man, that price is going up.
Uh-huh. And you continue to have this asset continue to show itself for what it can be. And Jesper Sorensen, what was your coach of the year rundown? Where were folks in your coach of the year idea?
Good question. I didn't have. I should learn by now, because I think it. I don't know. I think almost every year it's the Shield winner that gets it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have Bradley Carnell as my. I think I had Sorensen.
Okay. I was just asking because everybody looks at Mikey Veras for what he did in year one.
I think he was my two. Like I even there, I think I had Carnell 30, but
yeah. So it's like Carnell, Mikey Veras, Jesper Sorensen, Mascherano with hurting all the cats that are there in Fort Lauderdale at the Erector Set. I mean, he should get hazard pay on top of hazard pay for having to deal with everything there. But I mean, that would be my 4. But yeah, I would lean toward a Jesper Sorensen in that kind of a situation as opposed to, say, a Bradley Carnell. Cincinnati hosting Messi and friends to kick things off. A doubleheader Saturday. Sunday. So yeah, the 23rd. It's 4 from today, not 3, John. Messi and friends are favored at TQL at a plus 122. FC Cincinnati is a plus 179. 90-minute draws a plus 278. This to me just seems like one of those where all your veterans, they got that extra week off. They're chill, they're cool, they're ready to go. Your veterans that did leave for international break didn't really get a whole lot of minutes. Everybody's back. The band's back together. Messi is going to grab everybody by the scruff of the neck and just kind of sit there and grab them and kind of go like this. I think that's what happens in Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati might be a long day for Cincinnati.
Well, here's what I would like to see, regardless of the result. I want to see a Vander be a Vander in this match.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the regular season game between these two teams, but I don't think we've seen that really in the postseason yet. So I really want to see him, be that MLS MVP candidate that he was through most of the regular season. Him at his best, pushing Cincinnati. Similar there too. I think that's going to be a crowd that will be largely Cincinnati based. It's a great home They have a great home support there. But it does feel like it's Miami's to lose, right? So, but it's a fun one. I mean, I think those two that we highlighted, to me, the order goes like, if you're going to power rank the 4 matches that are remaining, I would put Vancouver, LAFC 1, and then FC Cincinnati and Miami 2.
Yep. And so then does that make Philadelphia and NYC 3? Philadelphia is a favorite on the minus side at a minus 116. NYC a plus 285, 90-minute draw plus 254.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard. That might even be 4, just because I think NYCFC, between suspension and injury, they're just ravaged right now.
Yes, absolutely.
You wish teams were at full strength in this kind of game, and you have match winners on NYCFC, and they've played well on the road, and they're not going to be intimidated to go into Philly, but tons of questions, especially in the midfield, but whether it's Pereira or O'Neal, and you're obviously not, you've been without, and you will continue to be without Parks. You do have the ageless Maxi Morales, but now how about up top? Like, it's so many question marks right now, and it's at the worst time of the year for NYCFC. So I really don't see Philly losing that one. And then in the other one, like with San Diego and Minnesota, look, San Diego should win, right? But I thought Seattle should have won too. Minnesota has this special sort of voodoo that they do,
but that's so well. But is it just Allianz voodoo?
I think it's Dane St. Clair voodoo. I think it's style of play voodoo. Like, I mean, Allianz helps for sure.
It's like facing the triple option it's like facing Navy or Army in college football. Because Eric Ramsey and Minnesota United, it literally is like the ball has cooties. We don't want it. You can have it. You do all the work. We're going to sit back, defend. And then we're going to force you to make a mistake. And then we're going to be clinical in our finishing. And we're going to rely on Dane St. Clair between the sticks. Am I wrong?
No. And then we'll throw the ball in a mile. And then
Michael Boxall goes to lane 8 and he just runs from the track and he just launches. Yeah.
They'll, beat you on corner kicks. So I mean, the set plays, the stoppages, that's certainly where they can hurt you for sure.
And so then with San Diego as a prohibitive favorite at a minus 167, do you think they carry it through at the Murph Dragon, or is it going to be cooties? San Diego didn't get their cooties shot and it's going to be Minnesota.
No, I think San Diego gets through.
Okay. All right. So, and that's kind of where I was. So are you sticking with Philadelphia NYC as your 4 because of the injuries and what NYC has to put up with, and San Diego and Minnesota Monday night at 10 o'clock Eastern time? That's your 3?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got some high school to keep an eye on. Are you on the desk this weekend at all?
Sunday.
Okay. For the doubleheader?
Yep.
All right. So then one more question before you get out of here with these matchups themselves. Look at it from the underdog, the team that you didn't pick to win in these 4. What has to go wrong in the 4 matchups with your favorites for your underdog to come and win and take the game away and blow up your bracket?
What has to go wrong?
What has to go wrong?
One of those favorites.
Yeah, for those favorites. So what has to go wrong for Vancouver, for LAFC to take advantage and win that one on the road?
Get hit on a counter.
Okay. Cincinnati and Messi and friends.
Evander being Evander.
Okay. Philadelphia and NYC. Finding magic from someone you didn't know was going to.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they'll certainly they'll play that way. All the pressure's on Philly, right? So maybe how about 2 goals in the opening 30 minutes?
Okay. And then what does Minnesota have to do as a dog to take care of everything in San Diego?
PKs.
Oh. Have you seen a worse year for PKs than this one? I've seen more posts and misses and saves and people looking uncomfortable in the last couple of months than I have seen in forever when it comes to PKs. I don't care what classification or country we're talking about here. I've seen more ish PKing than I've seen in quite some time, and I don't get it.
I'm a big fan of the keeper. Just
I don't mind the ish housing, but I mean, it's just look, just shoot, just look, just don't get
take a spot and go.
Yes.
Yeah, put it on target.
Oh, instead of like, and it's like too many people overthink themselves
Don't
and
pick up the ball 5 times and
spin it and sit there and place it back down and have the center ref sit there and go, nope, it's got to be on the dot. You're like, it is on the dot, but no, it's got to be fully on the dot. And you're sitting, and because you're thinking about things too much, you miss. And it's just like you send it in the parking lot, you send it off the post, you send it wide. It's a real weak shot that gets saved. I've seen all of this year, and I can't remember a worse year for PK taking.
No, that's a fair shot.
It's come on now. As always, my friend, it's great to see you, and please enjoy the lack of conference calls where you have to write everything down and know everything about everybody. And so, where are you in your? So you've got championships, so is it like? Are you like toward the end for high school football? Or you?
Yeah, this will be it. I mean, there's more games to be played, but for me, I believe this will be it.
Okay, because it's three more playing weeks here. It's 4. It's actually 4. Second round, quarters, semis, and then championship. So we've got another 4 weeks before we go to middle of December and Mercedes-Benz Stadium. As always, my friend, it's always great to catch up with you and compare notes about high school athletics. Varsity Media on the YouTubes.
Yes, sir.
And that's
big weekend up ahead.
See, and that's why we have Dylan to discuss all this stuff. Be safe, my friend. Have great calls. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right, same here.
There we go. Dylan Butler. He's going to go get his second cup of coffee or third cup, and he's going to be the blessed or the Yankees mug. I forgot to ask which mug he's got today. So, Dylan Butler. It's always great to catch up with him. It is the blessed mug. There we go. Okay, so it is the blessed mug. He showed me in the green room. All right. We're going to kind of monitor the Chris Henderson press conference, and we'll come back on the other side and let you know what's going on there. A lot of it has to do with individuals and contracts and re-signing and renegotiating deals and those kinds of things right now. And we'll get back to that on the flip side. Plus, we'll talk about what's on your mind as well. I'll say hi to everybody in the timeline, get you prepped for today, and what else we might have missed. We'll find out who's in the World Cup right now in 2026 and who's chasing. We'll lay out those scenarios for you on the flip side. It's time a day later than normal to catch up with our friend Jason Stevens and find out about the economics of soccer. This time around, it's about multi-club ownership when it doesn't work. When it doesn't work. And we found 2 instances of that, one that has closed off that page and one that is still trying to figure out what they're doing. We get to talk about Black Knight, Bill Foley, and Hibbs and Bournemouth. And we get to talk about Fenway Sports Group and what they're doing and what we think they're doing and what they're not. It's time to catch up with football consultant Jason Stevens, a friend of ours. We catch up with him from London about the economics of soccer. Here's this week's edition with Jason. Conversation continues having to do with the economics of soccer, and we catch up with our friend Jason Stevens. And this week, it's about the idea of MCOs when they don't work. And this is the first time that we've had this particular conversation. And you wanted to start things off with Black Knight, who we know here on this side of the Atlantic with Bournemouth and the Vegas Golden Knights of the National Hockey League. He does have interests, but he had to sell one of them back.
Yeah, so the bottom line is he sold his 25% stake back to Hibbs. It sort of caught the media as a bit of a surprise, but it wasn't a surprise if you look at the timeline of little controversies along the way. But don't forget, he's only had this stake since early 2024, so it's just been over a bit under 2 years. But he invested $6 million and gained 25%. It was actually quite an iconic moment, actually, because it was the first time where Scottish football allowed I suppose you want to call it an English club owner to acquire a significant stake. in a club, and they had to change the statutes in order for this to be approved. So, again, nobody really knew what was going to happen and how successful maybe Hibs could be. But yeah, it didn't turn out to be successful at all. Now, obviously, his tenure, which is only, as we've just highlighted, under 2 years, but in the last 36 months, they've gone through 4 managers. And for a club like Hibs, they've spent, we haven't got an exact figure, but we believe it's between 22 and 30 million on transfers, which makes it the third most forked out on transfer fees in Scottish football, behind Rangers and Celtic. So there was public fallout with regards to the appointment of managers, where Bill Foley actually spoke negatively about the appointments of one David Gray and then Malky Mackay, and that there was disapproval over some of the signings. We're not surprised the relationship has ended. We're just surprised it ended now rather than when some of the more public spats actually materialised, etc.
So you have these public spats, and I think that really this is the first time that I think in our conversations that something like this has gone down, where spats have gone public, and now you have this messy divorce, for lack of a better word. Hibs right there, they number 3 in spending, and I know that Aberdeen tried it a couple of times. They tried to be right up there and have faith in what they were doing, and you're looking at other folks that are trying to be that number 3, and I think that, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but there's an opening there for somebody who wants to be the number 3 and chase after the numbers 1 and 2 there in Scotland. There's an opportunity there, but apparently, it just is lack of patience, I guess, from Black Knight. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, again, I think the opening's there to break the top 2, to be honest. Look, I know when you look at revenues and popularity, Scotland is not really going to look far behind Celtic and Rangers in whichever order you like. But we are seeing this year Hearts. They broke the trend, and we've got Tony Bloom, who's Brighton's owner, and he's invested a significant amount of money into Hearts Football Club. But more importantly, he actually put his Jamestown recruitment data algorithm into the club, and they've been using that to scout under I suppose identified undervalued assets, etc. And he's having a great time this season. They're at the top of the league by 8 clear points as we speak. So, and that's without a significant outlay. So that just shows you that potentially things can be done if done in the right way. I think the problem because both examples have got minority stakes. Tony Bloom's got a minority stake, and Bill Foley had a minority stake. I suppose the problem comes if both parties, the majority owner, the minority owner, are not aligned. If they've got different strategies, different visions, then one would argue, why did you make that acquisition, that investment in the first place? Were you that arrogant to believe that you were going to change opinions? Or did people pull the wool over their eyes and sort of said, we're all open to working together, but actually when it come to the crunch, they wasn't open to working together. Now, these are not the first 2 failures in multi-club ownership. We've seen it with Atletico Madrid, right? When they had a club in France, Lens, before that was taken over, and then you had a club in India that failed, and they tried to enforce their culture, their philosophies. Atletico at the time gave it the big, and we are Atletico Madrid, the 3rd biggest club in Spain, and basically you should bow over and do everything that we say, and it didn't quite work out that way. And it's quite funny actually, because they went and then bought a club in Mexico and for 50%, and they want to get out because the other 50% are not working in partnership with them, and now the other 50% won't let them out. So it's, can work in mysterious ways. But ultimately, I do think unless you've got 2 parties really joined up the hips, you're going to have differences. It is going to be a difficult marriage, and you're going to have moments where, each other throws their toys out of their pram. It's just a case of, can you reconcile and can you make probably headed by the of Hearts there this year. That's taking Hibs by surprise, and Foley's probably thinking, actually, look, I don't want to keep investing in more and more clubs. And it sort of coincides that Laurent is in a little bit of difficulty over in France, and he only owns a minority stake there. So there is rumours that he's going to literally use that money. Not that he needs money because he's got loads of it, but he's going to use that money to take full control of the League One side. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works, because whether you're in Scotland or whether you're in France, and Bournemouth are flying high in the Premier League, if they both qualify for Europe, then you've got to navigate UEFA's competition rules, right? So either way, he's going to be presenting himself some headaches. He must just enjoy these challenges as he's getting older in life. You know, most of us want to retire peacefully and enjoy the sons and the fruits of our wealth, but not this man. He wants to keep challenging himself to the very end.
Yeah, Bill Foley is definitely not one to sit on his haunches and try to sit there and just like, yeah, I'm good. He's never worked that way. But you mentioned Atletico de Madrid. That was the last topic that we had last week, where we're discussing Aries and Apollo and those groups, and now they're trying with Atleti and the ownership that's in Mexico. And you mentioned the idea of trying to instill values in a location where it's not necessarily welcome. This is going to be one of those dances that I think that you're looking at where, okay, so American dollars or market equity dollars are going into Atleti, and Atleti has a certain way of doing things. It is the Basque way, and that is it. And now you have these Americans coming in with all this money to try and invest in it now this time around. And I'm intrigued because what's going to win out here? Is it going to be the financial, or is it going to be the environmental and the way that Atleti is raised and everyone there? So is it going to be the people that win out, or is it going to be the money that wins out in this situation?
Well, I think every club likes to believe they've got their own unique philosophy, right? And every club believes that's a winning formula. And no doubt that over time, each of them have had their own moments where that philosophy has paid dividends. But let's don't pretend if private equity gets involved in any sports organisation, it's because it sees an opportunity to make further money, whether that's through real estate or through on-pitch performances and brand valuation increases. Atletico Madrid offers stability. It's got a major sports build complex that's taking place as well. So it's probably a little bit more attractive than the average Spanish club because of the vast nature of that Sports City project. And also they have got a foothold in the Champions League, right? In the sense of those three clubs, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, have qualified for the Champions League for the last 20 years. So you could say they're resilient to losing that. Because their squad investment, the amount of income they've got, and the strict financial regulations that the Liga forms under, that it's going to be very hard to move them out of third spot. But anyway, it doesn't matter because there's a fourth spot and potentially a fifth spot that's available now in Europe anyway. So Spain does offer opportunity for clubs. And that sort of goes on to the next point, right? Because Liverpool have failed, when I say Liverpool, FSG, owners have failed to add a club to their portfolio. 18 months now they've been trying, and they've had multiple reality checks, or I'm not too sure if it's they've got high expectations and it's just clubs are not meeting them, or it's a case of they need to adjust their sights a little bit better in terms of what markets to penetrate, what markets align with their philosophies, what philosophy are they trying to build as a portfolio? Because it's okay trying to align yourself with Liverpool, but that's Liverpool's philosophy and culture. Are you trying to replicate that in different markets? And then what's FSG's model in football? What is it? Is it to make a return of investment? I mean, we know they've been involved now for Liverpool for 15 years. Excuse me. Are they playing the long-term game? Have they really got that on their side, or is this just a quick ad and a quick sell? Because these guys are not getting any younger themselves. So it's a hard one. Yes, I know that Liverpool the Fenway Sports Group stroke John Henry has got the Strategic Sports Group as well, which is made up of multiple different venture funds, high-profile billionaires, etc. And they sort of took a slice of the PGA's new commercial entity. To me, I feel like that's going to go on to bigger projects as well. So will that go into football clubs itself? I don't know. But looking at what we mentioned last week with Apollo coming into this, and then you've got Aries Management and CVC potentially merging together as well. I call it super funds. So you've got 3 potential super funds there. It'd be interesting to see what the next step is in 2026 for some of these groups. Yeah, I mean, the other side of the coin is it's, if you see a club that's a bargain and potentially undervalued and has got some room for growth, then you're facing competition from the sovereign wealth funds, right? Because we know that Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE are looking to add to their portfolios. So, potentially you're going to be outbid. And that was the rumour when Liverpool undertook due diligence with Getafe recently, spending 6 months on that project, and only for the Qatar group to come in and offer 160 million when they was only prepared to offer 115 million. So whether that was the only reason why they walked away, it definitely wouldn't have helped the cause anyway.
Apollo reported annual revenue for fiscal year 2024. It was reported at just over 26 billion US. Trailing 12 months revenue as of September 30th of 2025, approximately 27.47 billion. Revenue change from 23 to 24, down 20%. And now you mentioned the idea of these super funds coming together. Say it is Apollo, Aries, and CVC. Are they going to? Do they operate under a unified front? Do they have that common message, or does one of the super fund 3 sit there and go, well, no, we need to go in this direction, and the other 2 sit there and go, no, we want to go here? When you have all of these 3, is it just, okay, we get it, we'll take some of our piece and go in the same direction as the other 2? How does this work with a super fund? How would this play, do you think?
Well, there's no doubt that conversations will take place about, look, in order to get the maximum out of the ecosystem, we need to invest in all parts of the ecosystem, right? So one will be infrastructure and clubs. The second part will be the media rights and entertainment pieces that come with that. And then the third bit is to build up the competitive balance in whichever environment you're in, whether that's the league, if you're focusing on one league, i.e. which we've seen a number of the venture funds come into the Premier League and take over or invest in a number of clubs. Or is it being involved in the Europeans' biggest competitions, i.e. UEFA's Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, where that offers significant financial uplifts? And those competitions themselves, the Premier League, the Champions League, are going to grow in revenues, performance fees, sponsorships, broadcasting rights for the next foreseeable future. So you can see, like we mentioned before, if you've got one club that's valued at 2 billion, then it's very subjective, right? What value the next club is. But if you've got another one valued in the billions and another one valued in the billions, it's very hard to then turn around and say it's not worth £1 billion the next club, even though it might not have the history or some of the underlying supporting metrics in terms of like stadium capacity, general revenue income, etc. So they are collectively driving up the value of these brands themselves, but they are seeing smart play, because we mentioned before, a lot of the Premier League clubs are considered, and European clubs, so if you use the Premier League as a guide, and they're probably the most advanced out of all the world leagues in terms of football, but they're underdeveloped commercially compared to some of the NFL, Sports American franchises. A lot of Americans believe that these assets are still 60% underdeveloped, considering the market appeal that they have on a global scale. So if they've got 60% of revenue growth in just one sport, then there's a massive potential uplift there to be gained. But I say one sport because a lot of these venture funds now are dipping into other sports. They're seeing that the sports market, sports tourism, is a growing industry. So sports tourism, for example, last year it generated something like about 645 billion globally. It's expected by 2030 to develop over 1.5 trillion, and to go by 2050 to 3 trillion. So, the experts believe that sports tourism is a massive future part of anyone's ecosystem, right? Not just football, but other sports. The NBA looking to expand into Europe, NFL, pretty much now spending a lot of their time in Europe throughout key moments of the season. We've had baseball do it. So, but then we're seeing other sports in Europe. We've got rugby trying to professionalise. We've got rugby sevens offering their values in those sports. You've got, basketball in Europe just taking off. You've got loads of little sports that are potentially offering value. And you look at what Knighthood Capital, is it? The owners of Birmingham. Well, I've got that a little bit wrong, but they're building what they call a global local facility, in the sense of what they believe is that Birmingham, it may not have the massive global appeal, but it will have a massive local appeal. And if we can cornerstone a few sports in the county, so for example, they own a netball franchise, they own a cricket franchise, they're looking at investing in a rugby franchise, and they've obviously got the football club. And they're building a new multi-sports purpose stadium, and you're going to potentially tapping into or creating a whole entertainment pass for the weekend all year round by tapping into these other sports. So that's quite a clever little strategy, and I think a number of other groups have looked at this and thought, well, actually, yeah, we're still underdeveloped locally as much as we're all rushing to get our global stake, our piece of the pie. Actually, we can still do a lot of stuff locally. So there's still, what I'm getting at here, there's loads of different angles in which these sports groups, these multi-club portfolios, multi-sports portfolios, or super fund portfolios can still tap into. We've not, I still believe we're in the infancy, and we're going to see a lot more in the next few years.
Birmingham City, US-based Shelby Companies Limited completed the full takeover after acquiring the remaining 51.1% of shares in the previously owned previously Chinese-owned club, subsidiary of Knighthead Capital Management, co-founded by Blues chairman Tom Wagner, now controls 96.64% of Birmingham City Limited, which in turn owns 100% of the championship club and the women's team. SCL took its first controlling stake in Birmingham in July of 23 when they bought 45.98% of Birmingham City Limited, took full ownership of the Blues ground at St. Andrews in the process, subsequently rebranded as St. Andrews at Knighthead Park during the 23-24 season in a multi-million pound deal. Blues owners have poured 20 to 25 million pounds into improving the stadium. Also plans to move to a new 62,000-seater home ground as part of a £3 billion regeneration of a new sports quarter in the city. Hope that the new stadium will be open by 2030. And then they had a couple of sentences after that. So let me see if I've got the math right here. So U.S.-based company acquires 51.1% of shares outstanding. Subsidiary of a parent company, co-founded by the chairman, now controls all but 3.33% of everything, which in turn owns 100% of the club and the women's team, and they're trying to do the live, work, play thing to the tune of $3 billion by the time of 2030. Did I get that right?
Yeah, pretty much. He said Knighthead Capital own Birmingham Football Club. They own the netball franchise. They own the cricket franchise, and they're looking to buy a rugby franchise as well. So, yeah, fair play to them. They've got a big global, local project on. And again, these groups, they're not, they've done their research. Now, Birmingham is the second largest city in the UK. It supports its sports products very well. And, it's becoming, in terms of an industrial link, investment for businesses. There's a lot of government investment into transport links between London and Birmingham. It only takes about an hour and 10 minutes anyway by car, but they're looking at, speeding that up. So Birmingham's got its own international airport. So there's got lots of things going for Birmingham. So probably a smart investment. And again, though, when we look at other cities in England, you've got Liverpool FSG. they're looking to buy, rumoured to be interested in buying a rugby franchise. You've got the NBA franchises potentially going, and one of them will come to England. And there's a little bit of a tug of war between Knighthead Capital, FSG, the Glaziers, etc. But I presume, if I'm a guessing man, that will go to one of the London entities as well. But it doesn't mean to say that one of those entities can't own it in London, as we've seen with Todd Bowling. I mean, he's got a cricket franchise in the Midlands, right? So he's got Nottingham Trent Rockets, a franchise that he bought with Aries Management separately. These guys, they're taking opportunity whenever they can.
So what is on your mind that you're keeping an eye on for the next 7 days before we reconvene, sir?
Well, again, I think we're going to have massive changes to PSR rules in England. I think that's being voted on next week now. So I think by the time we come on next week, we could have a decision on what that looks like in terms of the competitive balance for the Premier League, in terms of Europe, and more importantly, the divide between the lesser spending clubs in the Premier League and the bigger clubs, and the potential strikes that's going to have pending. But ultimately, what does this mean for MCOs? Is this a good thing for MCOs, or is this a bad thing? So, yeah, I think, listen, a few stories like this story we talked about today didn't even come up until literally 2 days ago. So I'll let the news take its toll, and we'll just pick up 20 minutes before we get on air and have a look at the stories on. That's how it goes, right?
Exactly. As always, my friend, great for the education. Be safe and be well, and we will catch up with you again next week as we continue our journey through the economics of soccer. Be safe, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Take care. Thank you again.
Jason Stevens, and where's my camera? Where's my freaking camera? It's like, where's my camera? That's all I want. I'm just asking for things. Where is my camera? Come on now. Oh, audio enabled. Show camera. How about there? There we go. All right. We'll bring in Jarrett to close. Nothing like hitting buttons and not finding a damn thing and trying to do it in a timely fashion, eh?
It's Wednesday morning.
Yeah, it's well past Wednesday. Let's see. So this we're keeping an ear out on the Chris Henderson press conference and media availability that started at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, and it looks like that there's discussions about players and renegotiating contracts and things like that for folks that you want to have come back. So it's just kind of walking through, I think, the end of year decisions and trying to figure out, okay, so player A, player B, yes, no, renegotiated deal, come back in at another price point, those kinds of things. That's what it sounds like. Obviously, we'll have sound on it tomorrow.
Let's just get this clear right now. If you're renegotiating a deal with somebody, a la Ronald Hernandez in the past, you're not picking up their option. If you're picking up your option, you are agreeing to a previously agreed to salary, and you're not renegotiating money for that year. If you want to renegotiate money, you would decline the option and enter into negotiations for a new contract, because option years are discussed when you write the initial contract and you say, okay, we're going to sign you for 3 years with a 4th year option set at this amount. So if you want to negotiate salary with somebody, you don't pick up their option.
Right.
And you sign a new contract.
Yes. Picking up the option means you've agreed on the price point. Renegotiating.
Yes, a previously agreed a price point.
Yes.
Just so we are clear. So when everybody wants to discuss why guys were kept or why guys were not kept, I don't know. I'm assuming you went through some of it yesterday.
Yeah, we went through. Well, we went through the names themselves, and probably the larger point was keeping Jamal at his price point and then jettisoning Brooks at his price point. Those were probably the two big ones.
Well, I mean, Brooks had a bad year for you, and I think some of it was banged up.
Mm-hmm.
You picked up some injuries the last few years, but for what you were paying him, he wasn't giving you that. And in a cap league, unfortunately, in a cap league, you have to be ruthless about some of these things. As I say that, wouldn't be shocked if Brooks latches on somewhere else. I wonder if he'd come back out here to Salt Lake. But I would not be shocked at all if Brooks latches on somewhere and rediscovers his form. and goes back to being a very good right back. Sometimes it just, sometimes the schedule just runs out on you. And it was after the season he had, the performances he had this season where, he was basically dropped from the starting 11 the second half of the year. It's just, you can't keep him at that number, I don't think, in a salary cap league. Jamal's not a big number, but Jamal also put up goals for you. Like, obviously, Emmanuel Latte-Lot did not perform to expectations. Jamal did. Your backup 9, who kind of became your proto starting 9. Jamal might have paper skin and glass bones at times, but he is semi-feral when it comes to putting the ball in the back of the net. He will make it happen. And you pay money for goals, and he gave you goals. Would you like it on a smaller number? Honestly, yeah. But if you were worried that if we don't pick up his option, he might go somewhere else, and if you're worried about that, then you pick up his option, you keep him, and you swallow that, because you already just freed up some money letting Brooks go. You'll fill that void, by improving right back. I wouldn't be shocked if you find a way to improve left back too, because Pedro Amador was not up to snuff.
It was the terrible twos with Amador instead of just being a
man. Like, you'll negotiate keeping Ronald. Bart will stay in hell, and that's fine. Look, man, Ronald turned into Miguel's bodyguard by the end of the year, and he can play either side for you in a pinch. He's not going to be a best 11 outside back, but he can be a depth piece for either one of those. Is a clubhouse guy and is very close with one of your designated players, and acted as his bodyguard, and he had his best moments while playing with him. So you'll keep that guy because it won't be on a crippling number. You got the thank you messages, though, for Leo Alfonso. Wasn't surprised about that at all. Josh Cohen, wasn't surprised about that at all when you consider how much Josh Cohen cost. And Nick Sesek. Nick got his cup of coffee, and I hope he's able to parlay that.
And where and where Ronald is concerned, it's versatility, it's a cap league, and to have that kind of a Swiss Army knife who happens to be a bodyguard for one of your DPs, that's like check for me.
Abby, we need to go unplug Colorado's computers. I believe they have till December 15th to trigger a purchase option. I wouldn't be surprised if they trigger it to keep him out there. If they don't, it's your gain if you're Atlanta. I'd love to see them keep him. Also, a reminder that Juan Baracol is actually still on loan until the summer. So Baracol could, if you decide, hey, this working out thing ain't working out, he might go back home. You might not trigger a purchase option. Entirely possible. Who knows yet? Anyway.
Well, and then we also mentioned the moves by the twos as well. And obviously, you look at a guy like Javi Armas, but once again out of contract. But then
love to see them bring him back.
And
if Javi goes somewhere else, I'm not gonna begrudge him at all, because I think he can go somewhere else and be an absolute key player for a number of teams in MLS Next Pro or USL. So I would wish him nothing but success. I would love him to stay here and be that kind of veteran guy. But if he thinks he can go somewhere and become, just a rock for a bigger franchise in like USL, by all means, man, go live your dream.
Well, and
thank you for what you did.
Absolutely. And at the same time, when he is done with his playing career, I hope he comes back here and takes the coaching path.
Absolutely. Brian Carmichael had a down year. John Carmichael just couldn't find his shooting boots till late in the year.
No, I know.
Big Sal will land somewhere. Rodrigo Neri it felt like it never clicked consistently for Rodrigo Neri. Ronan Wynn just I think you can find other options. Caden Moore hits homegrown. You kept James Down. You kept Donaldson, obviously. Kovac is still.
Donaldson, Kovac, Toto Majub, Jono Ransom, Santi Pita, Ignacio Suarez, Corey Tablante, and Wea are under contract.
Yeah. Tablante and Weah will be two fun ones to watch. I thought Tablante started out really well and then kind of faded and was at times inconsistent, but is kind of that spark plug on the left who can win your 1v1s. Patrick Weah came to life
Mm-hmm.
and in the second half of the year. And the sooner you get Weah under a contract, whether it's a future homegrown or a second team deal, the better. Because get pen to paper on Gabriel Weah as soon as humanly possible, please. Tota Majub, our Ugandan prince, when he got on the field in the second half of the season under Silva Ball, was fantastic. Yeah. For what it's worth, Tablante and Weah were out of contract but re-signed MLS Next Pro deals for 26 with options for 27.
Right.
If you and look, the striker position is always going to be fluid. You have Emmanuel Latte-Lot still under contract. You have Jamal Teore under contract.
Togashi getting reps on both levels. Yep.
Weah if Weah wants to bet on himself for those 2 years, he can try and push himself into that Togashi role of like being a third striker. And if he replicates what he did in the second half of 2025 for the twos, he will absolutely be in that conversation. And he will absolutely get eyes outside of Atlanta.
The Weah combo, as they continue to grow and mature, I'm really if that pathway continues, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to bring to the table in 26 and beyond.
Abby, Ransom is not gone. John O'Ransom's not going anywhere. He's signed.
Yeah.
He and James Donaldson both. You have a U16 international keeper and a U18 international keeper. You're not letting them go.
Yeah.
Now you might go. Cohen is gone.
Yes.
That salary cap number was a little high for a backup keeper. On top of that, I mean, look, he point blank, he got passed by Jaden Hibbert.
Yeah.
Like when Brad Guzan isn't starting, you're expecting Josh Cohen to take those minutes. No, it's Jaden Hibbert.
Yep.
Like Josh Cohen become the third keeper, and you're not paying $300,000 for what was the third keeper when you can pay less than that and get somebody you can go get. If you want to go get somebody to push Jaden Hibbert, you can go get that for less than that $300,000. Yeah, he's you're not letting Jono go, even though the Irish might storm the gates and attack him, because the Irish hate him so much.
Oh, that's
yeah. Ransom is Canadian American. He's playing for Canada's youth setup. I believe he is also eligible for the U.S. setup. Donaldson is also. That Canadian setup's really interesting right now, though, because you still have what's old boy's name? Goalkeeper up in Vancouver.
Shoot.
Oh my God.
You got Takaoka, but I mean.
No, I'm sorry, not in Vancouver. The Canada's number one aside from Dane.
Crap. Well, I mean, it's been Crépeau. It's been
Crépeau.
Okay.
Thank you. I mean, but it's been Crépeau and Dane St. Clair, and then Jaden Hibbert now being a part of that mix for the third guy. Can try and push them. It will be very fascinating to watch how that develops, because then, John O'Ransom is kind of the next one in that pipeline, a couple of years younger than all of them. Yeah, man, this is going to be a very interesting off season. I don't have the cholesterol for this.
I know, really. We also were talking about last night, and I broke through the timeline from the start of the second halves of all of the CONCA-chaos and all of the motion that happened in that to get us to where we are. Dick Advocat, let's see, Will Unwin at The Guardian. Let's see, Dick Advocat said that it was, Kenji Garay said it was literally, it's an impossibility that is made possible. It's literally impossible for such a small island, such a small 150,000 population, now to go to the biggest pinnacle of football. It's unbelievable. Advocat initiated contact with Curacao about the job, knowing that by the time the tournament came around, he would be 78. Advocat may become the oldest coach in tournament history, surpassing Otto Rehhagel, who was 71 and 317 when he oversaw Greece's third and final group game in 2010. And so Advocat says it was destiny that this happened with him and with Curacao getting the win. Andrew Jones, by the way, cutting that video for the Curacao national team.
I mean, Curacao has always been known for its baseball, obviously. Like we talk about some of these, talk about some of these cities, some of these states, some of these countries where they have a disproportionate amount of like professionals in a sport based on population. Curacao is near the top of that list when it comes to baseball. Like it's less than 200,000 people. And they've churned out like a number of professional baseball players, almost all of whom have done a spell in Atlanta. Like Atlanta is to Curacao in baseball what like Seattle had been for Japanese importing players. But I don't know if people remember, because I remember like being a kid watching the Little League World Series and wanting to play in it until I realized they played with Dizzy Dean rules and you couldn't lead off, and that's bullshit.
It is.
But I remember like when Curacao would make it, they'd have like the players introduce themselves and give their favorite player. It was always Andrew Jones. Like, dude was a legend in Curacao, and for good reason. But having him, or he and Ozzy are going to be at those games.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, and Jerks and Profar.
You dropped
and
a
Kenley
Jair,
Jansen.
You dropped a Jair Jurgens reference yesterday.
Yes. Well, I don't know. But people like, do people you remember Jair Jurgens? Like, he was amazing for a while. Also came over originally in the traded from Detroit in the Edgar Renteria trade. Jair Jurgens came over in that deal with, oh my God, I can't remember. It wasn't Henry Blanco. I can't remember the kid's name. He was a speedy outfielder. It wasn't Henry Blanco though. He came over with like a speedy outfielder who was like a 70 stolen bases a year guy in the minors. But Jair Jurgens was part of that deal, came here for Edgar Renteria, and was an absolute rock for a while for Atlanta. But basically all of them passed through. They'll all be losing their minds. Gorkis Hernandez, thank you.
Gorkis Hernandez and Jair Jurgens traded October 29, 2007 for Edgar Renteria.
I love Edgar Renteria. It's one of my favorite shortstops of the mid to late 90s through the first half of the 2000s. Also, Atlanta traded him like after his like last great year. It was great in Atlanta. They traded him. Don't remember him doing a ton for Detroit, but yeah, man, that was I'm so excited for Curacao. It's such a fun story, John. That now we have such a small nation doing this, and they're not even getting into the whole Haiti of it all. Like a country that literally could not play in their home country because of gang violence throughout the entire area around the stadium. Like, it's literally
of the nation's president.
Yeah, like you can't play in Haiti. It's not safe.
No.
You could not guarantee, not even other team safety. You couldn't guarantee your own team safety. And this isn't a shot at Haiti. Don't take it as that. It's awful that is the situation. And Haiti, with that roster, powers through it, is able to compartmentalize it enough. And now they're going to a World Cup for the first time in over 50 years. You love to see it.
So that's the fun part about CONCA-chaos and what happened yesterday. And we played the BBC Scotland stuff at the beginning of the show this morning. And I lamented. It was a little stronger than lamenting. I think I vented my spleen and pretty much did it for the most of the first hour, that we had to go searching for that game. Instead, we were stuck with the 7-0 thriller that was going on the secondary channel for the network that is supposed to be showing a lot of stuff involving soccer. So,
they're going for big names and they're not actually paying attention to give people good content. And I will always also say, remember this shit whenever people lament like, oh, we should go back to ESPN having MLS or Fox having MLS. Like, guys, they didn't give a damn. Like, I understand that most people can't tell the difference, and that's okay. That you're not supposed to be able to tell the difference. John, we could tell the difference. You could see some of those games on ESPN where they just given second and third rate cameras to the crews to do these games. Like, you can complain about Apple all day long, twice on Sunday. That's fine. Apple is not an innocent party in this. I think their technical directors have not developed well. They don't do a good job of punching the games. They miss too much for the sake of dramatic replays that don't add anything to the game. Apple is not perfect, but ESPN and Fox did not give MLS the respect that you think it deserves. So don't tell me that Apple is some broken, terrible thing, and you should go back to a broadcast partnership where they're sending second and third rate cameras out there. So don't tell me that that's where you should be with something that doesn't consider you a high priority.
And making fun of the product in subsequent shoulder programming after the broadcast is done.
Yes. Yeah, they want, I mean, look, if you want to talk about international soccer, that's fine. But when you have the rights to MLS and then you're taking a dump on it with your associated programming, like, how am I supposed to take it seriously? How am I supposed to take you seriously? Granted, I don't know. A lot of people don't take ESPN seriously in general in 2025. And not even just for that. It's the entire structure of programming and the absolute destruction of ESPN as a respected sports entity should be studied. Like, we need a 30 for 30, but they don't have the self-awareness enough to actually pull that off correctly. But it should be studied for the way that they have absolutely disintegrated as a sports channel, providing anything other than 10-second TikTok clips of blowhard assholes talking about sports in a way not meant to actually drive a conversation and to explain things to people, but just to create 10-second little clips they can pop online while they overpay jackwagons.
According to Adam Schefter, Michael Penix is undergoing season-ending knee surgery. That just broke.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. 2026 is going to hurt a lot, guys. Because you're because and this is another thing. And oh, yeah, let's piggyback off that. The inability to actually parse topics on ESPN. For those of you playing the home game, the Kirk Cousins contract, while very expensive, was always technically a 2-year deal because you can pay him for the third year next year at $50 million, or you can take the out in his contract, which creates a $30 million dead cap, which is less than 50 for those of you with a calculator.
Yes.
And you can spread that out over 2 years or take the $30 million cap hit next year. Also, you can claw back a $10 million bonus. Kirk Cousins ain't going to be here unless, like, I don't know, like we get a work weekend at Bernie's situation, and someone hides phones and hides all of the numbers. Kirk Cousins isn't going to be here. You don't have a first-round pick going into this year. Michael Penix having knee surgery might not be back till this time next year. I don't know. You'll find somebody for pennies on the dollar to come in and just 2026 might hurt. Kyle Pitts will probably be gone. I'm not giving Kyle Pitts money. If it's my money, I'm not doing it. He hasn't developed enough as a blocker, and he hasn't developed enough as a consistent pass catcher who is an X factor in games, which is what you drafted him in the top 5 for. I'm not giving him a bunch of money when I'm not going to have a bunch of money. And then Michael Penix is going to be on a 1-year show me something situation, because then you go into 2027. Also, this draft might get really weird coming up this year because their 2027 looks like it's going to be a monstrous class to break into American football down here. That class might be wild. And this one might be quarterback heavy with like Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson if he comes out, Dante Moore if he comes out. Like, also, the fun part would be is if even one of those guys decides to come back for one more college year, which I don't think is as crazy as it used to be with NIL, John. I don't know about you. Like, I feel like it's like guys staying one more year in the NIL era.
Yeah, but to max out the NIL-ness, yeah.
Yeah, like, and you're not always going to get like the Arch Manning like $9 million a year, but like if I can come back and play one more year of college, and I might be in a more favorable draft class and still make $4 or $5 million, I do that. Next year might hurt for the Falcons. That's okay. We're used to it. Anyway.
Yes. So there's that. Any other last thoughts with CONCA-chaos and who made it and who didn't from yesterday?
Not really. I mean, all the games were nuts.
Yes.
In their own special. Even teams like that didn't matter anymore. Like
The
even
TNT
Trinidad
match
just
yesterday,
yeah, TNT like just started doing like Home Alone stuff, like the nail in the footboard kind of thing. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. And like stepping on a rake, one of those kinds of things.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. So news and notes before we get out of here. It is Leicester could be in big trouble again, facing a 6-point deduction that would have them rocketing down the table because of charges of alleged breaches of PSR, if that's proven. 3 charges against Leicester set to be heard next week in their latest dispute with the Premier League, alleged to have breached PSR during 23-24 when they were last playing in the Championship. Also accused of failing to submit their annual accounts by the December 31st deadline. Meanwhile, a further charge was brought for allegedly breaching their obligation to provide full, complete, and prompt assistance to the Premier League. It's been reported Leicester could face a deduction of up to 12 points if the charges are proven. Stefan Borson, football finance expert, talked to TalkSport, and he believes 6 points is going to be the likely income. Actually, he said it was similar to Nottingham Forest and Everton when they breached around 20 million in 23-24. So keep an eye on that when it comes to the future. Now, also on the board, we have the teams that are in after yesterday. The teams that are in and what else needs to be done. So here's what we have. We have Curacao making it in, smallest nation ever to qualify, breaking a record previously set by Iceland in 2018. 2 planes carrying the Ultras chartered to make sure that they would have some backing in Kingston, Jamaica at the National Stadium. Overwhelming majority of the 35,000, obviously behind the home team. Curacao has 185,000 in population. Iceland at 350. Cape Verde at 525, making their first, the smallest one, the smallest team to go. So Advocat going to his 3rd World Cup. Once again, it was leading his homeland in 94, South Korea in 2006, Russia in the 2012 Euros. 10 separate times he has navigated national team duty. Chased that gig too, putting a call into Gilbert Martina, president of the Curacao Football Federation, 2 other Dutch managers that had done it before. And so Martina told The Athletic it was back in 2023. And so that happened last night. Van Hal, 74, younger than Advocat. And so is Van Marwijk, who is 73. So you have the Dutch connection that is there. Leandro Bacuna, you might remember him from Aston Villa, now playing in Turkey's 2nd tier at Bandırmaspor. Started representing Curacao back in 2019. So your required reading is about the Curacao story after what happened last night. And so they are in. And so now the countries that have qualified, updated list from Will Jeans, who is in, who is out. Final 6 determined by the results of the European and Interconfederation playoffs, which take place in March. The draw takes place tomorrow. So we'll know that draw, the when and the where, as to where we are. So 8 from Asia, 9 from Africa. CONCACAF has 3 direct and 2 teams competing in the Interconfederation playoff, excluding the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, who are all automatic qualifiers. 6 from CONMEBOL, 1 from Oceania, 1 team competing in the Interconfederation playoff. 16 from Europe, 4 of them being European playoff winners. 16 teams are contesting those playoffs as well. Interconfederation playoff, 6 teams, 2 advancing. It is New Caledonia, Bolivia, DR Congo, Iraq, Jamaica, and Suriname. Suriname is in South America, but they play their football in the North American section. So Asia, once again, 5 rounds completed, 8 sides playing, and that's all done. So who has qualified? U.S. is hosting. Canada is in as a host. Mexico is in as a host. Japan is in. New Zealand is in. Iran is in as of earlier this week. Argentina, Uzbekistan, South Korea, Jordan, Australia, Brazil, Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, Colombia, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Algeria, Ghana, Cape Verde, South Africa, Qatar, England, Saudi Arabia, Ivory Coast, Senegal, France, Croatia, Portugal, Norway, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Austria, Switzerland, Spain, Scotland, Haiti, Curacao, Panama. That's who's in. And the Interconfederation playoff will know who's in, where they're playing tomorrow. Yes, we went long because there's a lot to talk about. We had a lot going on. So tomorrow, once again, the Power Hour is going to be in the 10 o'clock with Nino and Nico. We're going to break down everything that's on their minds. Nico will get you ready for what's going on in the playoffs in Major League Soccer. Nino, South America, CONMEBOL, World Cup qualifying, Portugal. We're tracking down other guests to talk about things as well. If we have to tape them today, we'll tape them today because they have real-world gigs, and we'll play them in the 9 o'clock hour tomorrow morning. So that's where we are today. Let's see if I missed anything. I need to say hi to everybody before we get out of here. And yes, we went longer than you know what. So let's go back. David. Morning. Morning, Abby. Morning, Derek. Morning, Hutch. Let's see. So morning, Kefsey. Yes, there were some serious F-ups with keepers worldwide yesterday. And let's see. So morning, Dell. Dell wanted to know about Tata helping build the team last time that had all the success. Yeah, he and Darren Eales and Carlos Bocanegra, they were all part of that group that was piecing it together. So how much say? He's got his notebook. He and Chris they have their relationship from Messi and Friends down in South Florida. So it's them and the scouting and what they're looking for. And Tata did mention in his press conference last week that it's not going to be a complete and total South American makeover, and also be patient that it's going to take about a year to get everything all locked into place. So there's going to be a lot of input from a lot of different places. Tata, Chris Henderson, scouting, et cetera. They're all going to look at it through Tata's notebook and his prism, and they'll find it out. But yeah, it's going to be a collective Borg-like entity that is going to piece it all together. Ricky reminding us that, yes, EP was retained from Ronnie Dyla as keeper coach. So good morning, Ricky. Morning, Will. Will was fired up this morning, by the way, as you should be. Yeah, I don't know what Drew Fisher was thinking. That match, he lost control of that match. He really did. Morning, Will. Morning, David. Morning, Kevsey. Morning, Dell. And let's see. So who am I missing? So, yes, Helena Sal. Absolutely true. I'm trying to see if I missed anybody here. So there's Dell, there's Kefsey, there's Ricky, and Will, and more Dell, and more Ricky. And I love that you guys have conversations with each other just as much as you do here in the Twitch pitch as well. So it's always fun to kind of sit there and see. And yes, morning Abby as well. Let's see, morning David, morning Dell, morning Ricky, and Abby. Yes, it was belt to ass was what it was last night, and that catches everybody up. All right, so we went long, but it's because there was a lot to talk about. So tomorrow, we got a lot to talk about too. So tomorrow, once again, Nino and Nico, we're going to have our voice from Major League Soccer joining us at 10. We're tracking down some other folks to see if they can join us on Friday and Thursday and Friday as well to discuss Major League Soccer, discuss the NWSL, discuss everything going on, and the USL Championship. So we reached out to both teams there. We'll see what we can do. Like I said, if we have to run tape, we'll run tape. If we can get them live, that's fantastic. We'll see what we can do there as we get ready for the USL Championship, the NWSL Championship. Major League Soccer is down to their final 8, and all the other things as folks continue to make their way through to the cup the world is chasing next year. And we'll find out the Intercontinental Extravaganza playoff and coffee clatch. We'll find out the where and the when tomorrow. I think it's at 10 o'clock in the morning. I think it is. So we should have those notes about the location and all the things for the other squads, when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, and those wild card slots that you're going to see on December 5th, what it means to what applies to whom. All right, that's another go-round of SDH AM. Boy, did we have a lot to talk about. Thanks to Jarrett. Thanks to Jason Stevens. Thanks to Dylan Butler. Thanks to Tyler Pilgrim. Thanks to you, as it always is. Since it's the end of the show, that means we get to do this back in almost 21 and a half hours. It's less than 22, so it's almost 21 and a half hours that we're going to be back here to talk about things for Thursday Thoughts. Bring them to the table, folks. Mucha platial, play it safe. It's the end of the show. That means I get to do this.